The found object, or ready-mades. Have you ever looked at modern art and asked yourself, what's all this about? Or what's that supposed to be? Or are they having a laugh like? 100 years ago, we were experiencing the backlash of the carnage of the Great War, or as it became known later, World War I. Many Central European artists were unhappy at the mad state of the world and expressed this by attempting to make anti-art. The most famous is Marcel Duchamp's Fountain, which, as you may recognize, is a urinal standing on its back with a false signature on it. It is important to remember that in the 19th century, photography developed and was a quick way to record a moment. Family portraits could be done instantly and did not have a painter spend a much longer time rendering the whole family in paint on a large canvas. People could start to photograph a landscape too, which became more popular in the 20th century. Art was no longer needed so much to paint reality, and so became free. People could paint how they want, like the Impressionists, focusing on light and colour, for example, so that art became reinvented. A group of German, Swiss and French artists reacted to what was going on 100 years ago, after the Great War, and introduced nonsense and absurdity into art by using the word Dada, and created anti-art, which then became modern art. From then on, artists had a new way of self-expression and new ways of exploring sculpture. Picasso saw the inherent magic or animism in manufactured objects and made this bull's head from bicycle handlebars and a seat. Rauschenberg used chairs like Duchamp's stool. They were impossible to actually sit on. More recently, Ai Weiwei creates multiple duplicate items and transforms them into art. He painted many Neolithic pots, as there seems to be a lot of these, particularly in China, and perhaps deface them while at the same time making them brand new. I expect he may have upset some archaeologists with this work. And the stools here, I reckon you could just about sit cross-legged inside the whole lot of them. But every object has a history, a designer, a place of manufacture, the people who work in that factory, their families. All these people are involved. So when we talk about found objects, we need an idea of where they come from and how they appear in our lives. A sculptor named Tony Cragg recycled rubbish into art and found objects into monuments. His work later on became more geomorphic from his interest in strata and geology, or the study of rock formation. This piece in Yorkshire in England looks like an alien spaceship or a giant tooth. Or does it look like anything else to you? Back to the topic of ready-mades and how we might present them. More recently, we see the work of Mona Hatoum in the 1990s, exploring how to create installations and sculptures that have conflicting emotions of desire and revulsion, fear and fascination. There is a kind of preciousness and polished look to much of her work at this time, with attention to composition via stagecraft, or how the installations mimic stage sets, like in theatre. Cornelia Parker hired an artillery unit to blow up a shed, then hung the fragments in a freeze-frame installation, almost as if that explosion was frozen in time. She would often use violent acts or destructive acts to create art, and refers to history. Perhaps she leans toward a Dadaism in modern times. Tracy Emin is known for her using her own belongings and furniture in her art. It's a kind of autobiographical process where she makes what is private quite public. So, this is all about objects and objectivity and how we place them to convey a narrative or create an atmosphere, tell a story, say, set a mood. Can you find 3 everyday objects in your house and arrange them into a composition? Take 3 photographs of different arrangements. Do you have a favourite object? Something that's precious to you? And I don't mean your phone, laptop, or gaming device. Do you have something else precious to you? Maybe a family heirloom, an object connected to a memory. Find something and present it in 3 photographs, considering things like camera angle, lighting, and composition.